The greatest question of all time, Windows or Linux? But why not have both? I'm going to show you how to dual boot Windows 10 with Ubuntu. First of all, what we've got to do is add a second hard drive or repartition our first hard drive. So most people will only have one drive in the system, so I'll show you how to divide that into half. So what I'll do now is click on Start and we'll type in partition. Then disk management will appear. Then we right click on our main and we click on shrink volume. We enter the amount of space we want to shrink it by and then click on shrink. Now we have an unallocated area on the drive and we're basically done with Windows. Now we need to go into Ubuntu setup. So I'm just going to shut this machine down. We'll need two tools. We'll need Rufus, which is used to burn an ISO onto a USB drive. And we simply click on the download section here and grab the latest version. Meanwhile, we'll jump over to Ubuntu and we need to download. So we go to the download area and we'll just grab the long-term support version for desktop. This could also be done with server if you want. And we wait for that to download. If we open up Rufus in the meantime, we'll see the basic interface. I'm selecting my USB drive, and once this is downloaded, I will simply select the ISO. So I'm just going to click on Select, and we're going to select our Ubuntu ISO, and then we just click on Start. It will warn you that it needs to be wiped and written to the drive, so just click on OK. It will then delete the partitions and start writing the data for you. Now that it's written, I just pop out my USB stick and put it into my main computer. Once you place your USB stick into your machine, you will need to access your boot manager on startup. This could be done in any number of ways. On this particular machine, I press F2 until it appears. On my laptop, it's F9. So you may need to consult your motherboard manual or the instructions that came with your machine, or just do a Google search to find out how to bring up your boot menu. Once you have it, simply select your USB device. And then we're going to try or install Ubuntu. So this operating system will launch directly off your USB drive, which is another perfectly valid way of trying out Ubuntu or any other Linux distribution. Simply create a live USB key and boot off it. You won't get the full speed of your system, but you will get a good idea of how the operating system works and functions. So I'm just going to click on Install Ubuntu. I'm going to select my local regions. I will go with a normal installation. I'll also install third-party software for graphics and Wi-Fi hardware. We'll go for a normal installation. As you can see, Ubuntu has given us a very clear option here. This computer currently has a Windows Boot Manager. What would you like to do? Install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager, erase the entire hard drive or something else. Obviously, if you erase the entire disk, you'll be removing your old Windows install and you won't be getting a side-by-side. So we'll go with Install Ubuntu alongside Windows Boot Manager and then click on Install Now. And yes, I want to write the changes to the disks. I will go and select London, where I am, and we'll type in some other details. And because I'm lazy, I'm just going to log in automatically. If you're running a secure setup, you absolutely should not do this. make sure you have a nice secure password, because I'm just doing a quick demonstration. I'm not intending to keep this machine in this particular configuration. I'm not too worried about it. And if you're using a machine that's just not being used for anything serious, then you can skip all this. But remember that if anyone else ever has access to your computer and you have sensitive materials on there, then you should always follow proper security. So we're going to continue and wait for the files to copy. And that's it. We've now installed, so it's time to reboot. It reminds us to remove our boot media, so I press return. So now we have Ubuntu and we have Windows Boot Manager. So obviously if we want to go into Windows, we just tap on that and it will boot into Windows. So every time we reboot our system, we will find an option for either Windows or Ubuntu. I'll just go into Ubuntu on this occasion, and it will load up like any normal copy of Windows does. And with that, we now have two operating systems living on the same machine, side by side, in perfect harmony. Meaning, you don't have to make the choice between Windows or Linux. Many distributions will install side by side exactly like this, especially the Debian-based ones. I do find installation with the Arch variants of these operating systems can be a little bit tricky, but typically your Pop OS, your Mint OS, your Ubuntus all follow a very similar pattern of installation. Just remember to shrink down your primary partition of Windows so it actually has somewhere to go and install and live. The second alternative, of course, is you could put in a second hard drive into your machine and just boot off that instead. I hope you've enjoyed watching. Please subscribe, comment, and like my videos for more content. And if you have any suggestions on how I can improve anything or any topics you'd like me to cover, please let me know in the comments. I would love to hear back from you. Thank you for watching.